I'm Jules. This summer I hiked 1,600 miles and we're gonna do a full gear review. I have had to record this 4 times, so we're gonna keep this short and sweet, simple, hopefully give you all the info that you want without taking too much of your time. We're gonna go over what I wore, what tent I used, what I liked, what I didn't like, and also we're gonna unpack my bag because I haven't done that since I got off trail 2 months ago. I got dressed in my hiking outfit for this video, one to show you what I wore and also because it just like felt right. I missed wearing this every day. I feel so cute in it. I'll try to put up statistics and like specs on the screen so that you have all that info without me having to spend too much time on each item. My dog Indy is running around somewhere behind me with a bone in his mouth, so just ignore him. He's doing okay. Before I dive into this, I do need to mention that I am a Nemo athlete. I guess I'm part of their team. So I did get all of my Nemo equipment for free, and I do have affiliate links, but I will say I reached out to them. I bugged the shit out of them to get that position. I love what they do. I love their gear. I use them on the Colorado Trail and I knew that I wanted to use them again. So I really bugged them, and I'm so grateful to Randy and Sam and the whole team for just like letting me be a part of Nemo and use their equipment. I am a super fan at this point. I can't see myself using any other gear company. I love their ethics, their sustainability, and this is not an ad. This is just a rundown, honest review of everything, because yeah, I'm happy with the switches I made between the equipment I used on the CT and the equipment that I used for this through hike that I did from Carson City to Canada, mainly along the PCT. So let's get into it. Starting off with what I wore every day, I had this North Face sun hoodie. I cropped it in Portland because it was so long, it was annoying me. I like the way that this looks. I did not like the fabric. Didn't breathe well, way too thick. Same thing with this hat. I embroidered it. It's 100% cotton and it made my head sweat so much. I wish I went with a visor or like an athletic fabric. I switched my bottoms in Portland. I had been wearing Mountain Hardwear shorts that I loved, but they were just way too big on me. So I ended up getting this REI skirt. It has a double zip pocket and it also has built-in really breathable spandex underneath. I love this skirt. I will be wearing this for as long as I possibly can. On my feet, I had Darn Toughs on for almost the entire trail. I had like 4 different pairs that I kind of swapped in and out. I usually only carried 2 with me. At one point, I did have 3 pairs. I love Darn Toughs mainly because you can trade them in. So when you wear through them on trail, you can just get a new pair. They're pricey, but I think it's worth it. I went through 2 pairs of Ultra Lone Peaks. I had a Lone Peak 7s and Lone Peak 9s. And then I did Washington from Chinook Pass to the Terminus and these Timp 5s. I hated the Lone Peak 7s. I got 800 miles on them though. I really liked the Lone Peak 9s. I got those in Mount Shasta and I wore those until Chinook. So again, like 800 miles. The ones that I started with already had like 350 on them. And then my friend mailed me these. They were on sale at our local gear store, Pine Needle. And I hate these shoes. I really did not like the Timps. A lot of people warned me. I was looking for something with a little bit more cushion because my feet were so tender at that point. But the Timps are a lot narrower than the Lone Peaks. I think moving forward, I most likely will use Olympuses. I've never tried them before, but I've heard that they're like the cushion of the Timps with the wide toe box of the Lone Peaks. Still 0 drop. Ultras tend to have an issue with durability, but I just haven't found anything else that works for them. There's a reason that they're the most popular, but I know they do not work for everyone. Yeah, unless you have narrow feet, I would not recommend the Timps. I love the Lone Peak 9s. I think they fixed a lot of the design flaws that they were having with the 7s and 8s. For sunglasses, this is the exact pair I wore. I just broke them yesterday. These are Sunski Terra Alpine shades. They have this really fun like little side cover so it blocks out sun glare. This is what I wore on the Colorado Trail. I've worn a pair of these for like 4 years now at this point, and I love them. So that was what I wore every day. For a bra, I used a busty from Bronwyn, I think is how you say it. It's merino wool. I really loved it. Never smelled, which was great. I had an issue on the Colorado Trail. I used a synthetic bra and it smelled horrible, and it also really dug into my shoulders. I never had an issue with this. I wish I sized down, just because with any natural fiber, the more you wear it, kind of got stretched out and loose and wasn't as supportive as I would like it to be. So I think I probably preemptively would have sized down. I can't even tell you what size this is, but it did its job. It's still going strong. It's obviously super dirty, but not too shabby. And then for undies, I used a pair from Booty, which Boody is also like a merino wool under. I just used like a bikini cut and they lasted great. I only brought one pair of underwear, which I know is controversial. But with the merino wool, they tend to be like antibacterial. I swam a lot, so I figured that was cleaning. And sometimes I would go days and just not wear them or turn them inside out. It's a thru hiker thing. It's gross, but it's worth it for the extra weight. I didn't feel the need to bring 2 pairs of anything. I forgot about one of my most important piece of gear, which are my earrings that my friend Andy beaded for me. They have little streams. I actually lost one by Elk Lake Lodge and someone mailed it back to me. So I hiked like the second 800 miles with only one earring in the whole time, which was perfect for someone with the trail name Hiccup. It just fully encapsulated my time on trail. Instead of doing like my big 3 and then all my other gear, we're just gonna unpack my pack. So we'll start on the outside and then head on to the inside. First off, my trekking poles are Trail Buddy trekking poles. They are not ultralight. They don't even work that well. They tend to go down. I found these in a tree for free when I was 20 years old, 21 maybe. I looked them up on Amazon. They're like 20 bucks. So I would not recommend these. They're not great. They're pretty heavy, but I have hiked the Colorado Trail and I did this through hike with these. They've lasted, never had an issue. They're kind of sentimental at this point, but not something I'd recommend you buy. These are my tent poles, so we'll get into that later. This is my poop kit. So I just have a classic. I have the classic Deuce number 3, which is just a metal trowel. And then I do have a bidet, a backcountry bidet, which I love having. I didn't use it as often as I did on the Colorado Trail. So I only had one smart water bottle, and it always had electrolytes in it, which I did not want to use for a bidet. So I think this was like not always necessary, but it was nice to know if I ran out of toilet paper that I had this. I kept this in a little stuff sack that I made, along with toilet paper and a Ziploc bag for used toilet paper. And this was just easy, so if I needed to go to the bathroom, I could just grab it all. I don't use stuff sacks often, but I think it's helpful to keep certain things all together. On the front of my pack, I have a stake pocket. I used a mix of 2 different types of stakes. Let's see. Both from Nemo Equipment. This is the stake that came with my tent, and this was a pack of ultralight stakes that I also got. I think I just have 4 of these. I really liked the ultralight stakes. They just went into the ground so much easier, and they are definitely lighter. I think next time I'll replace all of my stakes with the ultralights. I will say I might need to add like a little string or something. I had 1 or 2 times that I pushed them way too far down and then couldn't get them out of the earth. But I love these ultralights. They're also way easier to find because they are this like lime green, neon green. Also in my stake pocket, I keep my spoon. It is from Bamboo Organic. I got this on Garage Grown Gear. This is what I used on the CT. I love a bamboo spoon. I'm not an aluminum spork type of person because it gets cold and my hands don't want to touch it. Is that all I have in the front? Yeah. And then for camp shoes, I picked these up in Ashland. I thrifted these from the used gear store there. They're Zero sandals. They're a size too big. Doesn't matter. I wasn't like hiking in them. I got them for $15, so it was amazing. I had never been a camp shoe person because I'm not someone that sits at camp for long periods of time, but it was really nice to have camp shoes for being in town, or for like, there were a couple times, yeah, just getting to camp and like for 15 minutes to have my feet breathe was worth it. They're not that heavy. They definitely have lighter models than this too, but really helpful. And also for showers. If you're through hiking and you're gonna shower, some of those showers are disgusting, like really gross. And I showered in my Ultras a couple of times just because I like didn't want to touch the ground and get athlete's foot. And then my shoes would be wet all day. So highly recommend some good camp shoes. And I like lightweight ones. I know Crocs are really popular. That just seemed bulky and I didn't want things bouncing on the outside of my pack. Also really great for swimming. I have the classic Garmin InReach Mini. I also lost mine in Tahoe City and I had to buy a new one. But super reliable. I know iPhones now do SOS and messaging. I enjoyed the fact that I could also track and do waypoints, but I think if I had a watch and trusted the iPhone SOS, that you could go without this. There's cheaper like versions and models. I've just used this for years, and it's nice to know that I have a way to communicate. Highly recommend some type of satellite device just in case something happens. This was a luxury item for sure, but I'm so glad I brought it. It's a Minatola Freedom 1 film camera. It's a point and shoot. I think moving forward for my next through hike, I will get a smaller, lighter film camera. This one was a little clunky, but it was $20 on eBay. And I got to shoot 3 or 4 rolls of film while I was on trail, and they're some of my favorite photos. So this lived in my hip belt and it fit in there perfectly, and I was so happy I had it. It really just like made my trip. I do film photography anyways. Also on this side of my pack, I have my Kula cloth, which is a pee cloth for anyone that squats to pee. It's basically reusable toilet paper for when you pee. You can wipe, especially with only one pair of underwear. This keeps things clean and fresh, decreases chances of UTI. I know that people get really angry for some reason about Kula cloths, or they think they're unnecessary and you can just drip dry. But use one of these on your next backpacking trip for a week and then do another one without it, and immediately you'll be like, oh God, drip drying. You can feel the difference. That's all I'll say. Kula cloth. They're also like $20 and they last forever. I've had mine for like 8 years. On the other side, I just kept snacks and my wallet. This is a wallet I made. Ultralight did the Colorado Trail with me too. Moving on to the actual pack, this is the Glow 45 from Wild Brush, which is my company. I sewed this pack. It is a roll top version. It's an ultralight frameless backpack that is designed with women's bodies in mind. It's a unisex pack, but I designed it to be comfortable for people that have busts. So it has this like really smooth fabric, because I hate spacer mesh. It always like cuts into my collarbone and my shoulders. But I won't, this isn't a self-promotion. This is just the pack I used. I loved it. It makes me happy. It's this like pink, purple, green. I called it my strawberry matcha pack. I got so many compliments. It helped me make a lot of like friends. People just like were so excited to talk to me about gear. So absolutely loved it. The only thing moving forward is on my next pack, probably that I'll sew before my next through hike. I most likely moving forward will require a framed pack solely because I dislocated my shoulder on trail. That's a whole other story, but I'm at like a high risk of re-dislocation, and just to be safe, I probably will use still like the identical pack, but just with a frame stay or 2 in it, just in case I get into that situation again, because I had hiked most of Oregon with just the pack on my left shoulder, because my right shoulder was dislocated. I thought it was a pinched nerve, but it wasn't. It was dislocated. So I'll probably make that change to this pack. I'll probably take it apart and put the frame stays in, and then I'll sew a whole new pack when I maybe do my next long trail, and I'll keep on using this for like short trails. But for like CDT, I'll give myself a new pack just because I think that's fun. Okay, let's get inside this baby. On top of my pack liner, which is just like a contractor compactor trash bag, I have my water. So I've used a Canuck, I believe is how you say it. I used to call it Canuck, but I think it's Canuck. It's a Vecto 2-liter water bladder. These are really popular. Everyone uses them. I used one on the Colorado Trail. Loved it. I think I will always use this system in some capacity. I just had a Sawyer squeeze. My Sawyer clogged so bad by Portland that I had to get a new one. Sawyers are fine. They get the job done. I heard a lot of good things about Platypus, so I'm excited to try one of those one day. But I do like the water bladder system. And I know that's controversial. That's a lie. I have had it leak once when I lost the O-ring. But besides that, I've never had a leak. When I do just need water, it's so much quicker and easier than like having to sit there and squeeze this bladder into a water bottle. So I kind of like the versatility. I can just get water. It's a scoop, put it in my pack, head on out. It saves me like 20 minutes compared to some people's water, because when your filter gets clogged, it goes so slow. So I really enjoy this system, but I will say by the end of the trail, I was only drinking water if it had electrolytes. So then I was just squeezing this into a smart water bottle most of the time. But it's kind of nice to have that option, and you're only carrying the extra weight of the tube. So I think I'll always use this. Love it. This is a sit pad. I got this out of a hiker box at Big Lake Youth Camp. It is just like an 1/8 of an inch foam, and I love it. I was pretty anti-sit pad for a long time, but I will say it's the only thing that keeps your shorts clean, is what I've noticed. You can tell when someone uses a sit pad and when they don't, because they'll have sap all over their butt. So sit pad, I liked this one versus like the accordion ones that are just big and bulky. I thought this was great. I kept on the top of my pack or sometimes outside of my pack for easy access. And then inside the pack liner, I usually had my layers for the morning that I would have taken off. So I had this Skeeta cow print hat, which I love. I'm surprised at how clean it is. And it also, I feel like, never really got smelly. It was soft and nice. This kept me warm a lot of the time. Then I only had this fleece for Washington. So it's from Sam Bob. It's actually a collaboration that we did of my lab print that was on my backpack for the Colorado Trail. I love this, super warm, has a hood with like a cinch so you can like really egg head, and kept me so warm while I was in Washington because it got pretty chilly. It's alpha fleece. I love it. It's lightweight and exactly what I needed. Next to that, I have my entertainment stuff sack. So this is all my random odds and ends. It's a stuff sack that I sewed. It's been a lot of miles with me. I brought another luxury item, which is my tarot deck. It's the Pocket Animal Spirit deck and guidebook from Kim Cran's The Wild Unknown. It's like a tiny tarot deck. I use it really often at home. I've had it for years, and I thought it was just like a fun thing to bring, and I'm really excited I did. A couple of my friends pulled cards, and it was just like a silly thing to have when I was camping with other people, and great for self-reflection when I was camping on my own. I also had a journal. I still have some postcards that I didn't send. This journal is like mixed paper so that I could watercolor, but I ended up mailing my watercolors home. I got this at Chinook Pass. I upgraded my Nightcore for an MB 20,000 because it holds so many more charges, and I was realizing that the thing that was holding me back a lot of the times in towns, because I am not someone that takes a lot of zeros or likes to spend a lot of time in town if I don't need to, mainly to save money, was charging. So sometimes I like wanted to stop and it was fine. I spent a night somewhere, charged all the way up. But sometimes I was like, I just want to get my package and leave, and I didn't have the ability to do that because my Nightcore 1000 or whatever, 10,000 wouldn't hold enough charges. It lasted me like 3 days versus this lasted me over a week. So it was just worth it. I also had the charging cable that I got at Snoqualmie Pass. I had a pen in there, and then I also had this headlamp. Would not recommend this headlamp. My friend gave it to me in Portland because I washed mine in Oregon at Big Lake Youth Camp. I just had like a black diamond headlamp that I've had forever. I did the Colorado Trail with it, and I accidentally left it in my pocket and washed it. So this she had thrifted. It's rechargeable. It only lasts about 15 minutes though, so I will most likely be getting a Nightcore headlamp and investing in that for my next backpacking trip. I also have an extra O-ring. I never take my Sawyer off my water bottle, but I think that this is important. If you lose your O-ring, you're screwed. It leaks all over the place. It's so hard to filter water without it. I have a pillow. This is the Nemo Philo Elite pillow. I wasn't gonna bring it, and then it was so small that I was like, whatever, I'll bring it for a week. I can mail it home. And I will never backpack without this. It's so light, but really soft. The front of the pillow is this like cottony, I don't know, soft fabric. So you don't get like static hair, which is my least favorite feeling camping, and you're not like I feel like with other pillows I've used, I've had my head like slide around, and I never had this with this. It's also super easy to wash. Highly recommend. This was my food bag. I grabbed this in Etna. It is just a stuff sack that was like $12. I did appreciate the fact that it has like a handle on the bottom and this normal thing. So if you're doing a bear hang, it would be super easy to do in this bag. Just cheap and durable. I just needed something to put my food in after I mailed my bear can home. Things are a little out of place here because I pulled some stuff out to camp last weekend. Next, I have my Nemo Tensor, which is my sleeping pad. It is the Nemo Tensor Elite, I think. It's the lightest weight one that they have. It packs down so small. This isn't even rolled well. But it is like such a tiny sleeping pad. A mouse bit it. I had a mouse bite it after Steven's pass. And then it started deflating, but it lasted a really long time with no pops. So comfortable. The R value is low, but for the PCT, since I wasn't in the Sierra, I never had a night that I really got cold. So I didn't need this to have an R value of like 5. So this was perfect. I already got another one for all my backpacking next summer and through the winter. I have an extra pair of Darn Toughs, the pump sack for the Tensor. I love a pump sack. I think it's worth the extra weight. I would much rather blow into this sack 4 times than have to sit there for 5 minutes like about to pass out. I highly recommend bringing the pump sack. I had a Frog Togs rain jacket. It did the trick. I brought the same one that I did on the Colorado Trail, and when I got rained on for the first time by Trout Lake in Washington, I realized that it had completely disintegrated and I was soaked within 10 minutes. So I got another Frog Togs. They don't last well. They are cheap. This was $7. But I wasn't on the AT, so I feel like this was fine. It did the trick. I also used it as a windbreaker on cold mornings since I didn't have the fleece until Washington. So I wore my rain jacket most of the time if it got windy or cold. It was my only layer that I had. Toiletries, I have a cork massage ball. I had like medicine and toothbrush, toothpaste tablets, gauze, some tampons, just like normal things. These are the only 2 stuff sacks that I really had with me. I had my tent. It is the Nemo Hornet Elite. Where is it? It's the Nemo Hornet Elite Osmo 1 person, which is a mouthful. I love this tent. This tent felt like home. I like miss living out of this tent, which is kind of crazy. I had the Hornet 2 on the Colorado Trail, and I liked it. I don't know why I love this one so much more. It's the same thing, basically, but lighter and smaller. It packed down so light. I loved having a freestanding tent because I didn't have to worry about staking it down. most of the time. It uses these Y-shaped poles, so the bottom of it, if it doesn't have like rocks or something holding it out, will kind of collapse in, which didn't really bother me, or I would just use rocks to hold it out if the ground wasn't good for staking. It just like saved me a lot of time and allowed me to camp places that people that didn't have freestanding tents couldn't. I also love not having a single wall tent because I didn't have to deal with condensation. Everyone else that I know that had a single wall tent would have to like lay it out during lunch and take these breaks to like dry all their things out. I love this. It also, you get the mesh so that you can see the stars if you want to. And then I had the rain fly for obviously if it rained or if it was cold. I love this tent. I will definitely be using this for as long as I possibly can. There's a reason why it's always sold out. It also has this really fun feature called the night light. So it has this little patch of fabric and you can stick your headlamp in there and then it makes like a whole, it like makes your tent glow in a warm light, which is really nice. I hate being in my tent with my headlamp on and it just like feels claustrophobic and clunky, and this way you get overhead lighting and it's bright enough to like read but without being like blinding. The last thing that I have is my quilt. This quilt is the best thing. If I had to pick a favorite piece of gear besides my backpack, because I made that, so I'm biased, it would be the Nemo Pulse 20. I think it's a 20, right? Yeah, Nemo Pulse 20. It's an ultralight quilt. I got the regular. I think there's like an extra long version. It's made like sustainably and responsibly, which I love. That's like a lot of Nemo gear. So it has the endless promise, which means that when this quilt is done, it will be recycled. But it has this toe box that goes around the bottom of my tensor. And then it had a couple lashes, which are somewhere around here. So you can connect it and like wrap it around. I didn't do that every day. If it was like hot, I liked the ability to like stick my leg out. Or if my hips were really tight and I was sleeping like a frog. But it could also like button around the top, and you could also cinch it down if it was really cold. I was super warm and cozy in this. I never had any issues. And I love the fact that I didn't get trapped in it. I have claustrophobia, and I definitely have woken up at the bottom of my sleeping bag, like panicked. So I love this thing. I will use it as long as I possibly can. Now let's go over things that I had on trail with me but mailed home. So starting off, I had the Bear Vault, and it's the BV 450. I had this until Etna, so like the first 400 miles or something. I was only required to have it in Tahoe, so really unnecessary after that. I just got annoyed of like having to pack my stuff around it, and if I needed food, it was just like a whole ordeal to get this out. I do think this is great for like when you're in grizzly country, bear country, like obviously use it where it's required. If you don't need it though, it's just like, it's extra weight, it's extra annoying, and it limits the amount of food that you can carry. But fun fact, you can just mail this. You can slap a label on it and just mail it at the post office. You don't need to put it in a box. I had Injinjis for a while. Like, when did I get rid of these? I don't remember. I had Injinjis for a long time. They got holes in them basically immediately. I had the liners, and then I had ultralight socks. I also used Injinjis on the Colorado Trail and had the same issues where they were just like wearing through, specifically at the big toe, within the first like 100 miles. They're like less expensive than Darn Toughs, but I don't think they last as well. I'm sticking with Darn Toughs. I had these boxer shorts that I bought in Chester, and this is what I slept in for a long time. So they were $5 at like Family Dollar or something. And I just needed some other clothes so that I could wash my hiking clothes. I like didn't have any other bottoms to put on while I was in Chester doing laundry, so I bought these. I also in Ashland had a tank top that I thrifted for like $5. I don't have it with me anymore. I left it in Portland with my friend with my Mountain Hardwear shorts. So I slept in that tank top in these shorts most of the time. Yeah, you need something to wear when you're doing laundry. I also started the trail with a stuff sack that had my stove in it, and I meant to put some fuel in there, and I didn't, and I just never cooked. There was also a lighter, but I just don't, I'm a cold soaker. I didn't use it. It went home immediately. Same with the pocket knife. I hiked the Colorado Trail with this. I did actually have this for a while. I left this in Washington with my friend's parents. It's just heavy. I think if I had an ultralight knife, that would be great. It's not for protection. I'm not going to do any damage with this. It might give you peace of mind, but like, you're not going to hurt anything with a knife. What I used it for was cutting vegetables. I made sushi on trail a couple of times, so this allowed me to like cut up my cucumber and avocado and carrots. So it was for veggies, but it can be handy for like other survival instincts if you needed to like cut twine or make a shelter or something. But I would recommend a lighter knife than this. This is just what I have. I had a journal that my friend McKenna sent me along with a note, and I carried this actually for like 300 miles, but I already had a journal, so I ended up leaving this in Washington as well, along with the extra guy line for my tent, which I know is probably a bad decision. You should properly like stake out your tent when it rains, but I just didn't. I already had one. I use my guy line, like my tent came with 2, and I use one of them. I hang it in my tent, and that's what I hang my like clothes on at night to air out, because if you leave your clothes to air out outside of your tent, deer will eat them, or marmots. They'll like chew, they like the salt. So I air out my clothes inside my tent. And then I also ended up I had rain pants for like a week that came with my frog togs, and then they burst at the seams immediately, like just front to back. I like squatted down and they ripped apart, and then I sewed them back together and they ripped apart again. But while I was wearing those, I used a guy line to tie them up as a belt because they were way too big on me. This is the night cord that I originally had, and the charging cable that came with it, and then like the kits to seal, what are these called? Repair kits for the tensor. I brought one and I ended up mailing it home, and then a mouse bit my tensor, and at that point I had like less than a week left, so it was fine. But it's nice to maybe have a patch or 2 just in case. The only other 2 things that I'm missing that I don't have was my puffy jacket, and I had a pair of base layers. I used them when I was around Tahoe, but then I never was really that cold. I had a couple like chilly nights, but with the fleece, the windbreaker, and the beanie, I was fine. I never had any issues. So it just didn't feel like worth the extra weight to have a puffy jacket or base layers. They felt unnecessary. And that's it. That's everything I brought on my 1,600 mile through hike from Carson City, Nevada to the Canadian border. As always, it's really helpful if you like, comment, subscribe. I'm here if you have any questions. I know gear can be super confusing, but what matters most is it works for you. Whatever works for you. You know your level of comfort, you know like your level of discomfort. Some people can't go without a stove. Some people could definitely ditch an extra pair of socks or tarot cards. Like, you have to get really honest about what you need and what you want on trail. And the nice thing with through hikes is there's always an option to change. You can always mail things home, you can pick things up, you can ditch them in hiker boxes, you'll find stuff along the way. The more you hike, the more you'll like really dial it in. And it's also really trail dependent. You're gonna need different things for different trails, obviously. Like if you're hiking up high, you'll probably need the puffy jacket. I brought mine on the Colorado Trail and no regrets. But for the PCT, outside of the Sierra, it's just like really unnecessary for the time of year that I was on trail. Thank you so much for watching. Please let me know if you have any questions about gear or just like the PCT in general. I did a 1,500 mile lash. That's why I didn't hike the PCT. I hiked from Carson City to the PCT on the Tahoe Rim Trail and then up to Canada along the PCT. So kind of a confusing thing. I haven't done the southern section of the PCT, that 1,100 miles from Campo to Tahoe. But I really enjoyed NorCal, Oregon, and California, NorCal, Oregon, and Washington. And I'm here if you have any gear questions. Thank you so much for watching. I love you. Happy trails.